Always exciting to get to speak to Mike Tirico, the voice of NBC Sports. Mike, thank you so much for making time. There's quite a story brewing down here in Washington with Jaden Daniels. How impressed have you been watching, through 7 games?
Well, here's all you need to know. Jaden goes out of the game on Sunday, and all of a sudden you stop and you're concerned, right? And I want to know what's going on with Jaden. And that just tells you that he and this team has risen to a level, I think, that has gotten a lot of attention. It's about as good a story as you have in the first half of this NFL season. And I wish I would have done more interviews after we left Washington. We were there for the preseason game, as you know, JP. Jaden didn't play, but I told anybody who would listen when we came out of there, I think this team's going to be good. I think this team's going to surprise some folks. Did I expect they would surprise folks at this level? I didn't think we'd be sitting on 5-2 after a 33-point win over, albeit a weak Carolina team. But still, it's the NFL. You beat anybody by 33, you're pretty good. So great story. Hope it continues. I think the league is better when some of those flagship franchises, I like to call them, are good. And it's been a long time since we've seen good football in the New York market and the Washington market. So this would be a great boost for the entire league if this story continues.
Yeah, I mean, 1 out of 2 ain't bad if we're talking New York and Washington. Man, some good football. I'm curious. I mean, you are around the entire league and have relationships at every level, right? And
Mhm.
Washington has had brief flashes over the
Yes.
last 10, 15 years. When you see them and experience that franchise from top to bottom, does it feel like this is something different now, something sustainable at all levels?
Yeah, it's funny. You think back when Robert Griffin and Kirk Cousins were drafted, we had a bunch of Monday night games. I was on that package then, and there was an excitement around this team. So it wasn't all that long ago. But one of my first partners in the studio was Joe Theismann. So for years, I was around what Washington football meant to DC, to the district, to the fan base. And it's a fan base that was, honestly, just in the background here the last few years. They weren't proud of their team. They weren't proud of the organization for a variety of reasons. Let's not forget what Ron Rivera did. I thought he deserves a lot more credit because on the field, the product was better than the totality of what was around at that point. And we had the playoff game, although I had COVID and called it from my house, when Taylor Heineke put a scare in the Bucks and Tom Brady in that game. So there have been
Go
moments,
for the
like you say.
pylon.
Exactly, exactly. There have been moments, but this does feel different. I think it feels different because there's a new coat of paint on the house. There's a new energy. There are new people. Dan Quinn is just one of those guys who, when you hear from him, you talk to him, you're like, yeah, I can root for that guy. I would want to play for that guy. So I think all those things together, the new ownership group coming in, the hopes for a lot of the fans there in the district that the RFK site, that back in the district in DC is something that maybe there are steps towards here over the next few years. All that together really gives, I think, a chance to feel for Washington fans like they can come back to where a lot of them grew up. So, yes, nationally, people are seeing that, feeling that. And I think because Jaden Daniels is a good player, he brought in a lot of good people on that team, and the coaching staff is rock solid, a bunch of great folks. That permeates, that gets out of the building, and word gets around quick in the NFL. I think a lot of folks think this could be a good team going forward, not just for the first half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there's real excitement, and it's for legitimate purposes. It's not kind of that
Right?
sugar high we've seen in Washington in the
Well
past.
said. Well said.
I'll admit I borrowed that phrase from Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who's told it to me. But
Well done.
when you look at the NFC East, though, I
Yeah.
think Philly's still the most talented roster, top to bottom. I don't know what Dallas is or isn't right now. It seems like they've lost some of their physicality, some of that edge. The Giants are a bit of a mess. How do you see the NFC East playing out
Yeah.
over as we get into Thanksgiving, Christmas?
Yeah, let's, the Giants right now are playing the poorest of the four, right? And the Giants are trying to figure some things out. So let's put them aside for a second. Let's not forget with Dallas. I think it's a little early to have your party on Dallas at this point because take three very impactful players off of any defense, and you're going to have some issues. Remember, Micah Parsons has been out the last couple of games. DeMarcus Lawrence is out and on IR. And Deron Bland, who was first team All-Pro and had 9 picks last year, led the NFL. He's been out. Bland is close to coming back. Parsons is close to coming back. Maybe not this Sunday night against San Francisco, but in the next few weeks, they're going to have those guys back. I think on the offensive side is the question. Can they find some running game and can they get their offense going? Because right now their offense, not because of Dak, but I think the people around him, it's been a little disappointing. So can they get that going? So they're not done just yet. Philadelphia, since that 11-0 start, things just haven't felt right. Last week against the Giants was the first time in a while Philly walked away feeling good, I think, about the performance that they had out there on the field. So let's see if they start backing that up. I know you've got a Thursday night game coming up with Philadelphia here in a few weeks for Washington. That'll be a massive game with big import, no doubt about it. You know, when you sit out there and you've got the 2 Dallases and the 2 Phillies on the schedule, you know that no matter what that math is in the standings, it's game on in the NFC East. And I think that round robin of games between Washington, Dallas, Philadelphia, those will probably be the games that decide who's the division champ and hosting a playoff game in that second or third week of January.
Yeah, the late season NFC East games usually tend to matter. But the Commanders this weekend, the Jaden Daniels situation looms, but they know that it's Caleb Williams and the Bears coming to town. What have you thought of Caleb and of this 4-2 Bears team?
Yeah, fun to see these 2 guys who not only have done well to start, but as individuals have done well also. We had Caleb week 2 of the season against Houston, and game 1 was a little rough. But game 2, you could really see, and Chris and I were in the booth in Houston, you could really see against a good team, it was starting to come together. And then the Bears just hit a stride. The schedule was good for them, got some confidence. You know, we don't talk often enough about what they can do on the defensive side of the ball. And they've got a good defense, but they've added people to go with Caleb on the offensive side. Rome Odunze, who came in this draft class, DJ Moore, good tight end, and Cole Kmet. So they've got people over there. And all of a sudden now the Bears in a very good, what I think is the best division top to bottom in the NFL, the NFC North. This is a good Bears team. So this will not be easy, especially depending on how Jaden's health is. This is a tough ask against a good Chicago team. Good to have the game at home and not at Soldier Field. But I know a lot of folks in the Chicago organization. I live in the Midwest. And I can tell you firsthand, there's that similar, hey, maybe the team is coming back energy around the Bears that you folks are feeling in Washington. So it's really great to see that one of the big late afternoon games on a Sunday is Washington against Chicago. Been a long time since we said that, and that'll be pretty darn good to watch.
Yeah, I feel like Darrell Green had that punt return the last time
exactly.
the game between these 2 mattered. Mike, I know we're not scheduled to see you the rest of the year, but maybe something will change and we have an overlap.
You know, that's the joy for us too, is you get the opportunity to flex into games, and when you have a couple of games sitting out there that the teams aren't doing as well as they thought, you start saying, okay, who are the hot teams? And maybe we can flex into, and I've said it more than a few times, like maybe we can flex into a Washington game here somewhere down the line. We don't control that. The league does. But I think by seeing this game Sunday move to the late window, 4:25 Eastern, you know that Washington's starting to get some national buzz, and being back there for a big Washington football game when the weather's cold will be something fun. So we are hopeful to do that as the season goes on.
Mike, thank you so much for the time, man. Appreciate it.
JP, thanks. Look forward to seeing you soon.